So I acquired a couple of what I'll refer to as big block Stihls. Um, Thought about buying another 400, and I decided not to. I really enjoy the Stihl 066, 064, 066 MS660. The saw on the left here is an 066. The one on the right is a 660. Both of these are low hour saws, and I've kept the components with them as they were disassembled. Both of the saws have been worked on in time. They are entirely OEM crankcases, crankshafts, bearings, pistons, rings, and cylinders, carburetors, and mufflers. I got several things I want to try. I personally do not own an OEM 660. I do have a Farmer Tech clone that I assembled, but anyway, got several cylinders here. I'm going to be trying some things. I want to show you some interesting things about these saws. The 066, the spark arrestor is still intact. The internal cage and baffle still intact. The failure on that particular saw, the piston broke between the rings. There we go. I personally have never seen that. Little to no scoring, and there's plenty of oil in the crankcase. And like I said, this is an OEM piston. And almost no carbon buildup at all in that particular unit. Something that I did notice, the clutch drum bearing had a lot of wear on it, and it began to get into the oil pump. You can see that there. These saws were filthy. I mean, you think they're nasty now. You couldn't even see what was there before. Anyway, I cleaned them up a great deal, and so the 660, here's the muffler on it. Notice factory single port mufflers on both these saws. Before we leave the 066, I need to show you the carburetor. Both adjustment screws are broke off, and like I say, all Stihl OEM. Never mind the limiter caps, the adjustment screws were broke off, so I don't know how that happened. And like I say, this saw had lube in the crankcase, so the jetting had to have been at least close. I don't know about that piston. That was odd. But anyway, moving on to the 660. Single port factory muffler. They had jabbed a screwdriver through the spark arrestor screen. Baffle still in place. Notice the inside of that muffler. Also, I did not find those pieces of that piston either in the crankcase or in the muffler, so I don't know where that went. That is really odd. If it turned to mist, turned to dust, and was expelled through the spark arrestor, I don't know, but I cleaned this out very well. It's very clean inside, and the crankshaft bearings are all they're tight, so I don't understand that, unless that somebody tore that saw down and put that piston in there like that. I don't understand how that happened. But anyway, on to the 660. They punched a hole in that spark arrestor screen with a screwdriver. Anyway, one of the limiter caps still installed on the low side. The high side's been adjusted. Stihl OEM carburetor. I went a little bit too far. Again, going back to the 066. See if we can get our light right. I don't think my light's going to cooperate. Anyway, what I was going to show you, one of the transfer ports has some flaking chrome right next to the intake. I thought that odd, and that could have happened when that piston failed. But I look at the cylinder here. Also notice that ear, the marring on that ear. I don't know what happened there. If they dropped this thing, or when they disassembled it, if they disassembled it, they used a drift to get that cylinder loose. I don't know. Anyway, everything else, there was no scoring in this cylinder. It looks good on the interior. My lighting's not right, and I've not done any close-up work with this newer camera to know how to really get it to tune in. But anyway, back over to the 660. That's the pull cover that was on it. It has really bad exhaust side scoring. Again, Stihl OEM piston. The oil pump. What caused that on the oil pump on this one? The clutch drum bearing was wore, and of course allows that drum to rotate and get into the oil pump. That's what happened there with that one. But this one, you saw the scoring. The cylinder on the exhaust side is heavily scored. I've already been working on it, cleaning it up. Cylinder for it. Okay. And both of them had the factory gaskets under the cylinders. Both had the factory decomp, so they've not been tampered with at all. Relatively low hour saws, with the exclusion of this scoring. That cylinder still has the machine marks in it. I've got the tanks right there. The handle portions are a little broke up. May try to repair those. Those are high dollar OEM tanks. A 461 tank on the far left. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be working on. All right, so see if we can get in here and get a look at this chrome plating. This is the .066 cylinder. Okay, right here on that transfer, where you see my light there. I can tilt that just a little bit. Now the plating is coming off right there on this one. Otherwise, this cylinder looks really good. There we go. There's the exhaust port. A little bit of carbon, not bad. This is the exhaust side. Lower transfers. All that looks really good, but here on this, on the intake side, on this transfer right there, you can see the plating. See it right there. There we go. See the upper transfer? The plating in that corner between the intake and the upper transfers coming off right there. So may do some experimental finger porting with that. It's really not in the right place in my estimation. But anyway, really good looking cylinder otherwise, but I am going to do some playing around with that one. That is the old 66 cylinder, and this is the 660 cylinder, and there you see, I think you can see some of that aluminum transfer right there. We'll have to clean that up with some emery cloth. I go to about 250 emery cloth. Here's our exhaust port, and this one did have a good bit of carbon. Right there on the front of that cylinder, that seems to be JB Weld, and that was on the exterior of the saw. I thought that was weird. Nothing on the gaskets or anything, but this is a really good looking cylinder, with the exception of that scoring, which is, it's light aluminum transfer. Of course, these have not been cleaned up. Good looking cylinders. All right, that's about that. Several saws tore down here. Waiting to get to the next part of the process, and what that is, I'll not talk about it just exactly yet.